Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to 31 Nights of Horror. The time has come for me to review one of my favorite movies of all time, The Shining. I'm so excited to make this video today. I feel like this is going to be a lengthy one because there's so much to talk about in The Shining. So many awesome things that I just can't wait to dive into. This review will contain spoilers, so if you have not seen The Shining, it is available to stream on HBO Max. I highly recommend you guys watching it before seeing this review. And please let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of The Shining. If you have seen it, do you like it, do you not like it? And just let me know everything that you think about this movie down below. And I also just want to say I really do recommend the book The Shining as well. I recently read it and 5-star book as well. But yeah, let's get into The Shining. Jack Torrance becomes winter caretaker at the isolated Overlook Hotel in Colorado, hoping to cure his writer's block. He settles in along with his wife Wendy and his son Danny, who is plagued by psychic premonition. As Jack's writing goes nowhere and Danny's visions become more disturbing, Jack discovers the hotel's dark secrets and begins to unravel into a homicidal maniac hell-bent on terrorizing his family. From the moment this movie opens up, you already know that this is going to be something extremely creepy, and a lot of that is added with the music that the movie has. The score here is incredible. Rachel Elklin and Wendy Carlos worked on composing the score for the movie, and I really just enjoy it so much. And that opening scene, that's kind of like almost an establishing shot of how isolated this hotel really is, showing us the landscapes is beautiful. I love the way Stanley Kubrick moves the camera in this movie. I just like in the opening scene that you kind of already get a taste of what's to come, because as an audience member, even the first time you see it, you're like, these people are going to be in the middle of nowhere. And even if you don't know what the movie's about, you still get the sense of loneliness, isolation, and those are some of the scariest things to be tackled in horror movies, and I think this movie does that beautifully. And as far as how scary this movie is, I would give this like a 7 out of 10 on the scare level. And a lot of it is just because it's a psychological horror movie. But this movie, like the first time I saw it, it terrified me. Like there was something about it that like I just couldn't get it out of my head. And I was freaked out. And for that reason, I'm just going to give it a 7 out of 10. But it's not scary in the way that you would think it would be scary. There's rarely ever gore. And it doesn't really have jump scares. It's just a lot about this ambiance that's held. It's extremely creepy. Like, very creepy. I feel like 9 out of 10 times in this movie you're creeped out some way, shape, or form, and a lot of it is also due to the performances. Like Jack Nicholson's performance in this movie is terrifying. So yeah, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 on the scare level, but still, if you're like a scaredy cat, go watch this movie. I think everybody needs to see The Shining at least once in their life, and you guys need to do that. One of my favorite things that this movie does as well, these hard transitions that the movie has throughout the film, it's kind of separated into separate days. It basically tells you what day of the week it is to kind of orient you as to how long they've been here. It tells you like a month later, etc, etc. Like it just tells you what the time is. But what I really like about those editing choices is that every single time that happens, the scene before is something extremely crazy, and the movie kind of doesn't even let you process it, and that's where it adds to the whole creepiness level, because your brain does not have enough time to be like, okay, what just happened, because the editor decided to just like end it right there. New day, new beginning. And it shows us that Jack Torrance literally is acting as if the previous scene did not happen, and it makes it just that much scarier. It builds the more suspense because you're like, did nobody hear that? Did nobody catch that? And I just want to give props to the film editor, Ray Lovejoy. He also worked, I believe, on Aliens 2001 and 2001 A Space Odyssey, and those movies are really well edited as well, so it's no surprise that The Shining is a very well edited movie. If you guys really like watching old movie trailers, I highly recommend you guys go on YouTube and look up The Shining original trailer. It's really brilliant. It kind of shows you how much trailers have changed, because in the trailer for The Shining, it feels as a teaser, but that was it. That's the only footage that they ever got, and it's just that really iconic scene of the elevator. I just think that's so cool because it does not reveal anything about the plot, and those are the best trailers. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to put in that little fun fact there for you guys. I want to talk about the performances of this movie. One cannot talk about The Shining without talking about the awesome stellar cast that this movie has. I'm gonna start off with Jack Nicholson playing Jack Torrance. He really killed this role. It really surprises me that people at the time did not really like his performance, and I mean at the time people didn't really like this movie at all. Jack Nicholson in this role just gives it his all. It's one of those performances where it doesn't even feel like he's acting. It's a little bit scary because it feels that realistic. And I think that's one of the reasons why people just didn't like the performance at first, because I feel like it was so groundbreaking for the 80s, you know, like, and coming off the 70s. As the movie goes on, this character, Jack Torrance, he goes crazier and crazier. And Jack Torrance is probably one of the better characters in a film, because this movie just really works because of his character. And I also just want to say that another really big character in this movie that I consider is the actual Overlook Hotel. I think Stanley Kubrick made it really important that this hotel was a life force. And I also want to give credits to the other writer, Diane Johnson, who wrote the screenplay, along with Stanley Kubrick. But like I said, from the moment the movie opens, it's just solitude, and then when you actually get to the hotel, it's people leaving. You never see people coming in except this family, and it almost gives you the impression that even though these people are leaving because the hotel is closing, it still gives you this impression that, you know, people are getting out of here, but you're coming in and you're going to be all alone, and there's not going to be anybody. And I like that Stanley Kubrick focused on showing us a lot of the interior of the hotel to really just set the mood, like how big the kitchen is, how big the rooms are, how many rooms there are, how the hallways work. He did that in a way that, you know, I feel like I could tell you the layout of the hotel. I have seen this movie like way too many times, but still, I think if you've seen it like a couple of times, even maybe once, you kind of just feel like you've lived in this hotel. And I think that's super important, because when your characters are in basically one location throughout, you need to establish this location, and this hotel just works so much as a setting but also as a character, because the hotel also reveals everything. It's kind of what's moving this entire movie. It's moving Jack Torrance to do what he's doing, it's moving Wendy to do what she's doing, it's moving Danny, it's moving every single character in the movie, and every single plot point really revolves around the hotel. And we also get character revelations through the Overlook Hotel, even if the hotel is not like speaking to us, it feels as it is. And to me, the antagonist of this movie is actually the hotel, the Overlook Hotel, and there's so much mystery in this hotel that we still don't even know of, and I can't wait to get into that at the end of this video when I talk about the ending of the movie. The hotel is definitely a really big life force in the movie. And to continue talking about the hotel, I appreciate how at the very beginning of the movie we kind of already know what happened at the hotel. Like, the backstory wasn't a super dramatic exposition filled scene, it just felt natural. Boss that's hiring him, he was like, oh, this family, you know, died there and they got killed. And Jack is like, another really cool plot point in that scene too that I just noticed on my recent rewatch to do this review. There's a line in that scene where Jack kind of tells the guy, oh, my wife, she's like a horror fanatic. But the moment Wendy walks into the hotel, she says, oh, this place kind of gives me the creeps. Like, she says something like that. And I just thought that was very interesting, because it just already from the get-go talks about this relationship that maybe they're not as close as they seem to be. And we also do get that conversation with Wendy and Danny's doctor. Jack basically like hit the kid and broke his shoulder, and Wendy kind of brushes it off, but that's something a little bit serious. The sun was like hitting me from this way, so I turned off, you can't turn off windows. I closed the window, so the lighting might have changed, but it's a little bit spookier like this, so let's continue. Shelley Duvall as Wendy Torrance is a really underrated actress and a really underrated character in my opinion. I think that Shelley Duvall's performance is really great, and if you guys didn't know, Stanley Kubrick pushed the hell out of her, and you know, that's a conversation for another day, but I don't agree with the way Stanley Kubrick directed this movie. He kind of was an extremist, and although it worked, I mean, it worked to produce a really great movie. I think this movie is literally perfect, but he pushed her to her limits, and you kind of really see that, especially towards the middle of the movie. That's what I'm talking about, that these actors act so well, because I feel like they were put in the same position as these characters. Like, they look exhausted, and it was probably because Stanley Kubrick exhausted the hell out of them. But Shelley Duvall, I'm gonna give her so much credit. I love Wendy as a character. I think she's really great, and what I like about her is that she wants to survive, and throughout the movie she's trying to kind of figure out the smart way to like get out of things and, you know, figure it out. She kind of sees from an earlier point in the movie that there's something wrong here, and I like that she's quick to action. She doesn't feel dumb or submissive to the situation. She's genuinely like, no, I'm gonna get my kid and I out of here. I would have gotten out of there a lot sooner. I personally would not have even been in the hotel in the first place, but still, she did pretty good. And Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall work so great off each other. My favorite scene in the entire movie, that scene with Jack Nicholson where he's like, light of my life.
Stay away from me. Please. Don't hurt me.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Stay away from me.
Wendy.
Stay away.
Darling. Light of my life. I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
It's just the tension is real. And then another one of my favorite scenes is when Wendy sees what Jack has been writing, and to me that's one of the scariest scenes in the entire movie, because you're kind of like, this man is completely insane. He's been making a big fuss out of all of this to just be writing all work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy. And there's a lot of moments like that in the movie where the film lets you realize what's happening a little bit. You know, I'm countering what I said earlier because I said there's moments where the movie doesn't let you realize, but then it's even scarier when the movie takes a second to reveal what's actually been going on and you're like, holy crap. This is insane. Let's talk about Danny because I think he's one of the best child actors. I genuinely think he did such a great job. I love his character and I think he plays a great Tony. I love how he changes to Rad Ram. He feels like a little kid, especially in his expressions. I mean, he is a little kid, so obviously, but he did a really great job acting, and I also like his conversations a lot with Scatman Crothers' character Halloran. He's a great character too. Hal and him, like, they just reveal so much of each other, and I like that they both have the shine, and I like that that's also established super early in the movie. Even if you don't fully understand it, you at least sort of know what's going on there, and I think that's great because it just doesn't like leave you in the open to like not know anything. You understand that this is something that other people have, and I just like that that was established. I love how many tracking shots this movie has. It's so cool, and how like hypnotizing it all feels. Like the scene in the maze when the camera's in front of Wendy and Danny and it's moving, and then you have that bird's eye view of the maze and how large it is. I love that scene. It's almost like saying that like these people have gotten themselves in a really big mess that's going to be really hard to get out of. And then you also have that scene of like Jack looking at the maze design in the room, and it's just so good. And then I also really love the scene with the twins. It's very iconic. I cannot make this video without mentioning that. I love those tracking shots throughout the hotel when Danny's like on his little like bike thingy. And one of my favorite things is also the use of sound in that specific scene. How you can kind of hear the carpet, you can hear the wood. It's very satisfying, and it's something very minor and a really small detail, but it adds to making you feel like you're part of this hotel. And I like the perspective that we're put behind him, but at the same eye level as him pretty much. It's great. I love it so much. Other really cool artistic choices. There's a scene where Wendy comes in and we're seeing Jack from a mirror. So we're not really seeing him, we're seeing his reflection. And it almost foreshadows that like this guy that we're seeing might not even be the real Jack because there's some twisted stuff going on. There's just a lot of really cool imagery in this movie that I think the more you watch it, the more you catch on it. And this movie foreshadows so much. Each scene reveals something that you didn't even know it would reveal. And that's very smart and intelligent of a film to do, and I really just praise the writers for that, for like focusing on that, and then Stanley Kubrick for when he was directing and making sure that like all of those plot points really connected. I also want to say that, you know, I mentioned the score, but the soundtrack of the movie is also really great too, especially the use of the song Midnight, the Stars and You. I think that's what the song is called, but you know, it's the really nice groovy song. I like that song. Every time I play it now I think of this movie. It gives me the creeps, but perfect spooky vibes song. I also think the bartender is a great character, and also the guy that we find out is the original caretaker, and then that scene when he tells him in the bathroom, which by the way I love that scene, the bathroom scene, that imagery and the coloring, oof, that is incredible. And he tells Jack, no, but you've always been the caretaker, and it's moments like that where you're like, what? And let's talk about the third act of The Shining, because it's probably one of, in my opinion, it's probably one of the craziest third acts ever. I love when all of the ghosts start popping up and Wendy starts seeing them. For a long time in the movie, I almost felt that Jack was the one seeing them, like nobody else was seeing them, and maybe he was just literally crazy, like there were no ghosts. But now Wendy is seeing them. I love all of the tracking shots showing us her going through room, and then there's ghosts popping in every corner. Every room has something really weird going on that I cannot even explain honestly to this day. And then we get the scene in the snow, and Danny cleverly, he's so smart, he like covers up the track. I'm just telling you, these characters are smart, and I'm here for that. I love that. I love that for them. And let's talk about that ending. I'm really curious to know what you guys think of the ending down below, because it's definitely one that for a long time I was just like, what? I mean, and to this day I still don't really fully get it. Like, I understand that Jack is, it's almost like if Jack was always at this place. I love that final shot, and something that I've always wanted to do but I've never done it. I want to like pause every single time a picture is shown and try to find that image earlier on in the movie. I wonder if it exists, and I wonder if Jack is in it from the beginning. At the end of the day, there's something so interesting going on in every single scene in The Shining. It's just, there's something interesting going on in every single scene, and ending it like that, it just, and then the score, and then the soundtrack Midnight and the Stars and You starts playing, and then you're just like, again, it's just, I think it was really well edited in a way where everybody working in this movie knew how to like get you, because you end the movie, Jack is dead because he's frozen, and then you're kind of like, okay, what are we gonna do next? And it just zooms into this scene, and it's dated 1920, and you know, I'm still thinking about it. Like, I have not stopped thinking about it. It's one of the reasons why it's my favorite horror movies of all time, because I just love discussing it with people, and I love hearing like everything they have to say about it. And to me, The Shining is a movie about fear and reality, or I guess I should say fear of reality, because I think in this movie a lot of characters go through realizations because they kind of didn't want to realize the reality of the situation, especially Wendy, in my opinion. Like I said, in the beginning she almost brushed off that Jack was a drunk and he hurt her child, and then she's almost faced with this reality that, you know, in a more intense way, that he is insane whether he wants to or not. You know, that's the reality of the situation. I love this movie so much. To nobody's surprise, I'm going to give The Shining an A+. One of the most perfect horror movies ever made, in my opinion. This is one of my favorite movies ever, and it's usually battling the #1 spot for favorite horror movie, but Scream and The Shining battle it out literally every day in my mind because I love both so much. I love The Shining. It's the movie that makes me want to be a filmmaker, especially a horror filmmaker, and it's just a movie that I'll never get tired of talking about, and I'm so excited to hear what all of you guys have to say about this awesome movie down below. If you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button and also liked and commented. It really helps out my channel, and I would love your support if you like my content. And remember, I'm posting every single day in October, and so far we've done really good. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos and having fun with 31 Nights of Horror. I'm super excited for you guys to see what I have coming next, and thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll make sure to see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.